Right, let's get going, shall we? I really love how you can take the simplest of shapes and make them into really, really pretty things. I am learning, I've never said I'm not a learner. I am just literally learning myself. And I just share what I've been learning. But I'm learning that even if you wanted to make something really, really intricate, or at least intricate from a learner's point of view, that the simplest shapes can really, really be effective. So let's go ahead and make these, and I will show you how to make them, and then we'll have a look at how to use other shapes, in which to make some pretty things. So you're going to need to take your 1.25, that's 16 gauge wire. Now I like to use copper all the time, as you guys well know if you watch me for long enough. I love copper and I love bare copper. I don't tend to put a patina on my pieces very much, just because I like the colour of bare copper, which is fine, isn't it? If you wanted to put a patina on them, again, that's entirely up to you. So each of one of these guys here takes approximately 10 centimetres, which is about 4 inches of wire. So I'm just going to cut a couple of lengths, about 10 centimetres, which is, I think, just short of 4 inches, I think. So I'll just flush cut this end, like so. I always like to flush cut as well, just because I think it keeps everything nice and neat. And if you can hear the wind in the background, guys, we've got a bit of a windy day today, so hope it's not too discordant. But I am in my conservatory, and conservatories by their very nature aren't hugely solid. So hope the roof doesn't fly off. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So let's make this. Now, like I said, I use all sorts of different mandrels. I'm thinking if that's a 10, that's probably about a 15, 16 millimeter mandrel, something like that. But I just tend to take things, from around the house. Actually, that's for that one. I'm going to be using this one here for this guy here. But the first thing you need to do is you need to bend this in half. And this is where the needle nose plier comes in, actually, because it's much easier to grasp. So measure halfway, so 5 centimetres, right at the very, very tip. Give it a good pinch and then bend it in half. And as you can see, with it being a needle nose, it's actually much easier to bend. So I'm just going to do 2. So find the centre, give or take. There's a little bit of room for manoeuvre with these, and then bend into halves like so. And then you want to come in with a decent pair of pliers. Again, flat nose or a wide plate. And then just very gently, you want to squeeze your wire, which will want to flip on you. It's very annoying when that happens, but we are going to be bashing this with a little hammer, so don't worry too much. There you go. And then, so you've got this kind of affair going on. So just literally, very gently. You can take a little bit more time over this, actually, so that it doesn't, flip over on you. But obviously, because I'm filming, I don't want to take too much of your time up. But anyway, we've got these two here. Now then, we want to spread these apart, these arms. I'm going to call them arms. Now what I've found is, a little tip for you, is if you just pull them apart without any holding here, you can find that they pull apart, in different ways. So my tip is just to hold the very end and pull apart so that you get an even pull, because that needs to be even at the end. Yeah? Can you see what I mean? If you do that, just pulling it apart on its own, you might have this one with a little bit of a weird bend here and this one with a different kind of bend. But if you just grasp onto the very end of it there and open it up equally, you'll find that you get an equal sort of arc here. Yeah? like so. Okay, I'll just do this one while I'm here, just for the sake of it. Let's have a look how that looks. Just hold the end there and then pull apart. What you want is to make sure that this gap here is wide enough to hold a jump ring. If you're wanting to be suspending something off the end of it, if you don't, then don't worry about it. Just a cute little point will be fine. So we've got these two. I'm going to do two, but I'll just show you, how to make the one. Now I've got a 10mm mandrel here. These come in a set of two, actually. They're really handy little things, and you get one with 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and then obviously 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the other one. They're really, really handy to have. Just stainless steel, but you can, if you wanted to, use your largest mandrel on your plier. I'm not going to, because this is a 2 to 9 and I'm going to be using a 10, but it depends. If you've got a 3 to 10 mandrel, that's fine. So just hold it like so, and bend it round evenly, and cross over like this. I'm going to just manipulate it around the mandrel until you've got an even shape like that on either side. All right, so I'll just do this one. So hold against the mandrel and evenly bend them around as evenly as you can. There's room for manoeuvre with these, so don't worry too much. Like with everything else, wire is pretty forgiving most of the time. All right, so the reason I'm doing two at once is that if you're making earrings, if you like them to be the same sort of size and shape, it's handy to do both at once, and then you can make sure that everything is pretty much the same size. All right, so I have two of those. Lovely. Right, so what we need to do now, well, you don't have to, but I'm choosing not to for these earrings. So you can hammer them if you want. I won't do that on camera because you don't need to see me hammering. But when we're going to be making this one, this is going to be our first earring that I'm going to show you. You don't have to hammer it. If you don't want to, it's absolutely fine. All right, so let's go for it now. We need to make these little spirally bits. So this is when I come in with my 6-step, and I'm going to use the first increment, which is 2mm. You can use your round nose, it's absolutely fine. I'm not very proficient in round nose, actually, even though I've been doing this for a little while now. Still a beginner, really, not an expert, so I tend to use this. So with this part facing away from you and your smallest mandrel on your plier or your round nose, start to make a spiral. Flip it over and do the same on the other side, right at the end of the wire. So we're here. Okay, now another little tip for you to make quite, again, I'm not an expert, but I've found that if you snip off the ends now, you'll get a much rounder spiral. Okay, so if you were to go and make a spiral from here, this little straight part here will mean that you get a sort of an angle in this part of your wire here. So I've found that if you snip off just 2 or 3mm at the end, just the tiniest bit, as you can see, on both sides. When you come back in with your plier, you'll find that becomes more rounded and less angular. Hopefully this will work. Never does when you're doing things on camera. So this is all in the wrist, this bit. All right, so put your plier back in. You just want to move things around nice and slowly, so you get a nice round spiral like so. And you want that wire to touch that wire there if you can. So again, nice and slowly manipulate the wire, bending your wrist around as best you can. You do it nice and slowly, you get a better effect. So as you can see here, And then if you need to move things around slightly with your fingers, absolutely fine. All right, so that's our little unit. So I'll do the same. So take your pliers, make the start of your spiral on either side, like so. Come in with your cutters, just take the tiniest little bit off. Oops, mind your eyes, guys. Don't come at me if you lose your eyeballs. There we go. Okay, and then come in very gently, moving the spiral around on both sides. Let me just move this out of the way so we can see what we're doing. With it being in the wrist, you get a little bit of control and movement. There we are. So if things are looking, you know, slightly unbalanced, you can come in just with your fingers and balance things around a little bit. Because like with most things, you know, you might have to reset a couple of times. Right, so there are our two lovely little components. Aren't they sweet? So you wouldn't think that those could be the basis of all sorts of things, like beautiful bracelet. I've taken my silver ones off just so I can show you. Now, I probably will be wrapping a bead in each of these centres, or indeed in each of these. I've not decided yet. So you can put like maybe probably an 8 will fit in there, and perhaps a seed bead or 2 will fit in the centre of this section here. You know, just sort of wire wrap them around. But if not, it's pretty. It's pretty pretty as it is, and probably would look nice with a patterner as well, actually. So all you would do, you know, is set these along like so. I've put them, you know, like that, with jump rings in between, 5mm jump rings in between the points, and 4mm jump rings in between these bars here. But that's up to you, yeah? So I'm just showing you some ideas there. However, I love these. I think these are very elegant, and I love a chandelier. So what I've done with these ones is I've put 4mm jump rings through the loops, yeah, and I've used 80 seed beads along here, because you know me, I really like my little pearlized seed beads. But I did recently buy a set of these amazing bugle beads. So I bought this kit of bugle beads. I mean, look at the colours on those, aren't they fabulous? So pretty. So, you know, you could, I actually bought these to make like a barrel component, which I might do a tutorial on at one point in the nearest future. But I also bought them to embellish some sewing that I'm doing. So the thing about bugle beads is make sure that they are the same length, because, you know, they say they're what are these supposed to be? I'm not sure. 6mm tube beads, they're called. So some might be 6, some might be 5.5, some might be 6.5. All right. So if you're going to be doing this kind of thing, you need to just make sure that they are actually the same length. So come in with some 1mm. Where is my 1mm? It's actually starting to rain, so I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't prove to be too problematic. So come in with some 1mm. And just flush cut your ends as usual, like so. And I'm going to suggest, I mean, it depends on how long you want these. You could make them a little shorter. I can't remember how long I made these. How long did I make these, Sammy? I'm going to say probably 3, well, let's make them 3 centimetres long, shall we? And then we can have a look. So 6mm, 12mm, that's 1.5. Yeah, let's make these 3 centimetres long. So I'll do another one. Like I say, these are just ideas, literally what I've been making this week. And I'm in a chatty mood because I have been a little under the weather mentally, and I've not been out much. So it's nice to sort of get in contact with you guys and have a bit of a chat. And again, I do get accused of talking too much on this channel. I urge you, if you're not into the chatty, then please, unfollow me, go and look elsewhere for other amazing channels who don't talk as much as me. But if you like a chat, then you're in the right place. Right, so let's take our first step on our plier and make a little loop. All right, now I'm doing this on the fly actually, so it might very well be that I might have to. Which colour shall we do? What colour do we fancy? Quite like that pink. Let's have a look. The other thing about this is, actually, you know what? I might have to use 0.8. Scratch all that, guys. Bring in your 0.8. I think the 1mm will be too thick. So let's go for this is I'm going to leave this in because this is what we do, isn't it? We sort of have fun, make things a bit silly, do things a bit wrong, doesn't matter. It's all part of the process. But I'm going to make these slightly longer. So let's go for 3.5 centimeters. Let's see if these fit a little better. When I use the 1mm with my size 8O beads, they actually fit nicely, but the bugle beads seem to have a smaller hole, so that's fine. 3.5. Give or take. Let's try again. Move that out of the way. So let's come in with our little mandrel. There we go. Just make a little pea shape. Hope you don't mind me keeping these little mistakes in. Hey ho, it is what it is. So what goes nicely with copper? Should we try a green? Greens are pretty, aren't they? What about these? These blues. Let's have a look. Yeah, that fits on. Well done. Nice one. Well done, Sally. Put the little bugle beads on the top. If they actually fit. I think some of these holes are, different to others. Are we going to fit 3 on there? I think we may do. We may very well do. So let's pop. Do you know what? I think that'll just about make it. Yeah. But again, you do you. Put your seed beads on, put bugle beads on. You can do just like one of these little sticks with 0.4 wire wrapped around it if you wanted to. That would be nice. You don't have to have beads. You don't have to have anything you don't want. Let's see if this fits on. I think this might be. See, this is the thing, isn't it? With these kind of things. Some of the holes are larger than others. See, that's really strange, isn't it? Anyway, let's go. Let's keep going and hopefully, yeah, there we are. We're getting there. We're getting there. See, again, not big enough. Come on now, guys. There we are. I think that might just do it. Yes. Now then, because these are glass, be really careful. So what you want to do now is, let me find my needle nose. What we want to do now is to bend this wire on an angle really gently. You don't want to crack your bugle beads. If you do, I mean, they're not expensive, are they? Just, start again, really. And again, let's have that bent on an angle. I'm going to come in with my round nose because I think that one's just slightly too short, but that's okay. These things can always be made to fit, can't they? There we are. So that's what we're looking for, something along that kind of line. Like I say, doing this on the fly, which is always fun. There we go. And that's not Glory, by the way. That's my neighbour's dog. There we are. Good. Right, there we are. So we've got our 2 sticks. So we need to get some jump rings. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So let's get our 4mm jump rings. Or are these? No, they're 4s. Let's get 2 4s. If you want to learn how to make jump rings without all the fancy equipment, actually, my lovelies, I will put a link up here somewhere. I make them without all the fancy equipment, mainly because I can't really afford the fancy equipment. So for me, you know, makes sense. What we want to do, just move that up a little bit so that we can get our jump ring in at the top. Yep, that's fine. So pop your jump ring through here. Now the 4mm should fit in nicely, and then pop one of your sticks on. I hope you don't mind this little video. Actually, it's probably a little longer than normal, but it's therapy for me just to sit here and chat through what I've been doing. If you get bored, I will timestamp things, you know. And if you don't like the sound of my dulcet tones, my lovely northern accent, you can mute me if you want. And put your own music on over the top. That would be good. There we go. Okay, there we go. That happens to us all. I'm sure there are beads and jump rings all over our floors, my friends. There we go, that's it. And then pop your other one on. Thus, there we are. Right. There we go. How pretty do they look? Come on, up through there. That's it. There we go. Lovely. So the next thing we need to do is to pop a jump ring at the top. I'll use an open one, like so, and just connect these two. There and there. There we are. How pretty does that look, actually? That's really sweet. Where's my other plier? Tighten your jump ring, and then all you need to do is to get a ear wire. You know, I won't bother taking that off there, but you just need to get an ear wire and make 2 of those, and you've got a lovely, lovely dangly pair of earrings with you know, with bugle beads. How sweet is that? Yeah, really like those. Okay, so that's idea number 1. Let's go for idea number 2. Actually, it's idea number 3, isn't it? Because number 3. That's idea 1, idea 2. Let's go for number 3. Really, really pretty. Yeah, I like those a lot. So let's put these bugles away for now. Use those again at a later date. All right, so let's clear this table away and let's have a look at making one of these beauties. Now, like I say, I've made a couple with beautiful crystals hanging off the end. The sunshine is just coming out just as I pull the crystals out. Isn't that good? Thank you, sunshine. So you can make them mirror image if you wanted to, or as near as you can. I always find that quite difficult, mirror imaging things. But, you know, how pretty are those? Absolutely gorgeous in the ear. But I'm going to just make the pendant, which is exactly the same principle. Just make one of them if you wanted a pendant. And all you have to do is make this extra section here to use your little component with. All right, so let's move everything out of the way. So we have made our little component already. That's absolutely fine. Keep that to one side. Now I would suggest, well, I personally would give that a little bit of a hammer. Again, I won't do it on screen, but I've hammered this one so that it's got a little bit of a little bit of flatness and a little bit of texture. I just think it looks really pretty with texture. And again, you know, do the same with the other part, but I'll just show you how to make the, you know, this guy here. All right, so again, you want to take your 1.25 millimeter and you want 15 centimeters this time. So let's straighten this out. I've bought smaller spools actually, so that it's easier for me to use when I'm filming. So you can, they quite often, you know, send these massive spools, but it's a little bit unwieldy when you're under a camera. So let's cut this off, which is just short of 6 inches if you use inches. All right, so there we go. Just pop that out of the way. Now this is where I come in with this. Now I bought this and I hated the flavour of it. It's Manuka honey, and I thought it would be quite sweet, but it just I just didn't like the flavour of it very much. So pop it on your mandrel, whichever mandrel you choose. You might have all sorts of mandrels. I use medicine bottles and all sorts of things. All right, so equally, like so, cross it over as equally as you can. The beauty of this is that you can manipulate it as much or as little as you want. Like so, make it as large or as small as you want, and just pull it slightly. Now, if you're going to be making earrings, obviously, like with the little components, make them at the same time so that you know that they are a very similar size and shape. Okay, but seeing as we're just going to be making one, let me just flush cut that little tiny bit off. Make sure that they equal pretty much. Yeah, all right. So come in with your pliers. We want to be making 2 straight parts. So if you're making 2, where these cross over is where you want to come in with your pliers like this and just pop it up straight, turn it over and pop it up straight like so. I say like so a lot, don't I? I'll try not to. I know it's irritating. Helps me. And then if there's a slight discrepancy at the top, literally just snip like this. All right, so this is what we have for now. Now you can choose to do the scrolls first and then wire wrap, or wire wrap and then do the scrolls, but I think it's probably better if you scroll first and then wrap these little bits here. So again, I come in with the first step on my plier. It's nice to have things, you know, of a similar size and sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but you know, where this sort of, they match, the sizes kind of match. Ratio, that's the word I was looking for. Well done, Sammy. I know it's early, but there you go. So take, again, start bending around until you get about there, which again is a pretty shape, of course. But if you're wanting a nice, even spiral, come in and just take off about 2 to 3 millimeters, like that. And like that. Oops. There we go. So that we have this. And then come back in with your plier and with a lovely motion of the wrist, just start to build that spiral. It's only going to be a small one, so you don't have to go mad with it. All right. And again, if you're going to be doing earrings, I suggest you do this part as well at the same time so that you can get everything matching. And this is where I come in with my flat plier and just start to gently bend these spirals around until you get to around about here. There we are. So that you've got enough space to just wrap around the top section here. Now this just keeps everything from moving, I'm just going to close this blind actually because the sun is coming in nicely. It seems a shame to block it out, but it makes filming quite difficult. So can you see here that we've got, yeah, they're a different shape because I've made them separately, which is why I say, you know, when you're making them together, you know, but this is going to be for a pendant. So now then, at this point, I would hammer all of this very, very gently, hammer it flat, okay, like I've done with this one. So when you've hammered it flat, you're left with this sort of flatter shape. So come in now with, I think that's, yeah, 0.5, I think I chose. So you just need a little bit. That's what, 24 gauge, just a little piece. That's probably even too much, to be fair. And yeah, it is too much, but it doesn't matter. I can use it for something else. And just wrap around, nice and flat. Wrap it around nice and tightly, keeping everything nice and flat, like so. Push everything up. And if you're happy with everything, like this, give it a squeege with your pliers. Tighten everything up. And then when you cut, just cut in between these two, because you can very gently just tuck the little piece of wire in between. Like this. When you've flattened it down, like that, because obviously you'll have a back and a front. Can you see that? So it's just, you can just tuck that in, just so everything's nice and secure. And then straighten everything. Obviously I've not flattened this one because, you know, this is just to demonstrate, but you can see the principle of it. All right, so that's the component. Now I'm going to use this one because I've pre-flattened that one. Okay, right. So here we have our two pieces. Both of them have been sort of bashed a little bit, but not too much. So for this design, I thought, you know, you could use the point of it to suspend a bead or something off the end, or not, it's up to you. So when you're wrapping, pop the smaller component on top of the larger one, like so, that these sides of the spiral literally just sit on top. And it leaves you, if you've measured it right, it leaves you with a little gap here that you can suspend a bead off if you wanted to. Or indeed, it's just like a design thing, isn't it? So, let's get some wire. I'm not sure how much you're going to need. Let's get some wire. I'll get some wire anyway. So I think, let's have a look. I don't take two pieces. I just get one piece and then double it up, basically. So I'm going to say, let's say 24 inches, just to be on the safe side. Now, when I've finished wrapping this, we should find out exactly how much you need. I always like to have a little bit too much than not enough. Just bend it in half, like this. I just find it easier to bend the piece in half rather than have two separate pieces, but that's up to you. You can have two separate pieces if you require. And just, you know, pop them together. Now this is when I would suggest you bring your nylon jaw pliers in, because when we're wrapping, sometimes the wire can get a little bit kinked up, can't it? So you just need a piece around so long, I think. All right. Righty-ho. So let me just double check what I did on this one. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Just reminding myself. So you get your little piece of component here. And then really you just do what you want. So you just sort of, you know, spirals and flourishes or whatever it is you want. But I started on this side here. So just pop your component on. It is a little bit more forgiving, so don't worry too much. bring your wire through, and then let's secure this on here with a double wrap like that. I mean, obviously this is just your artistic license now. You can do whatever you like. So I'm just going to, I don't know, let's pop that back through there again. As with everything else, these are just ideas and literally just what I've been making. This week, I just find it really therapeutic. Sadly, you know, life happens, doesn't it, to a lot of us, and we lose our spark a little bit. But I found that picking up my wire and my tools again this last week has really, really helped. So do whatever you like. Make it mindful. Make it a relaxing process. Put on your favourite music, you know, podcast, audio book, something of that ilk. I'm just going to get my, so all I do, you know, is just keep these nice and straight, pull in your pliers if you want. I'm just going to do a little flourish here, I think, because that's just how my brain is working. So keeping your wires together. Again, do whatever takes your fancy. Keeping your wires parallel if you can. I just think it looks a bit more pretty. If one starts to sit on top of the other, you can just bring your pliers in and just reset them slightly. But again, you know, just do whatever you want. Like this. Yeah. And then obviously, well, not obviously, but I'm going to bring these up through here. And I love, this is what I love about making things and making things mindfully, is that you can just relax, take your time, let your wire or your materials, whatever it is you're making, just, you know, just flow, just do what it wants to do. Nothing matters, does it? There we are. How's that? That's good. So the wire is now telling me that I need to go through this part here. Yeah, so let's bring these out again. And then through. So I think at this stage, I'm going to ask you a question. Because I'm literally, well, I'd probably say an advanced beginner, maybe an intermediate. I've been asked quite a few times on my channel if I can make a video on different wires, different seed beads, different beads and their uses and what, you know, what you would use them for. If you are a beginner, put it down in the comments whether that's something that you would be interested in having a video on. Because when I was a beginner, I did, you know, look at lots of different videos on, you know, what you need as a beginner, what kind of tools you need, what kind of beads you'd need, not so that you're spending not a fortune, but ones that would carry you through, you know, your first sort of foray into wire and bead weaving, etc. So if it's something that you'd be interested in, let me know and I will make a video. I do have some videos planned, but yeah, let me know. Anyway, back to the wrapping. So as we can see here, I am honestly just seeing where the wire takes me. And it's taking me into another circle here. We'll take it over the top there, I think. So again, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter what we do. Just as long as you're having fun and you're happy with what you're doing. Don't like that there actually. So I'm going to unfill that, which is fine. Come back in with my straighteners, my nylon pliers. Although make sure you do this gently because you don't want to snap your wire at this point. Although if you do, it doesn't matter. You can reattach, it doesn't matter. And just make things. I like the sort of organic look. My friend Linda over at Gumnut Lane Jewellery taught me to be accepting of this kind of organic feel. So I'm you know, doing a little bit more of this kind of mindful, organic type of look. There we are. So, you know, just keep going. And then you just want to pop some wraps in this part here just to secure this part of the component, just so it doesn't flap around. But again, you know, you can do whatever you like. That's very pretty actually, which is amazing, because usually when you do things on camera, it never ever goes how you want it to. Okay, so I'm just going to snip this little back bit off, just here, and then just burnish that bit on, just so it's out of the way, and that I can get an idea of how the design looks without that bit spoiling the view, if you will. There we go. So I hope you try some of these with these little components. These little guys are so sweet. I hope you sit down and have some fun. I'll pop these through here. I'm just going to make another one here, I think. Why not? Let's have it asymmetrical. Like that. How does that look? Yeah, that's really pretty. As long as you do this real slow, you know, and mindfully, you're going to come out with something extremely pretty, I think. And as always, I much prefer to have slightly too much wire than not enough. So you can finish that wherever you like. If you want to take it back the other way and come back a little bit, I'm going to make mine asymmetric. So I'm going to stop. I think I'll just push that through one more time. And I'm going to stop there. So I can use this wire for other things, obviously. Let's not be wastrels. Burnish that down. So to burnish, just squeeze and push a little bit. And how is that? How beautiful is that? Lovely. So if you find you just need to just move things slightly with your fingers, there we go. So how's that on the fly? That's really pretty, isn't it? I really, really like that. In fact, I like that more than I like that one, which is quite often the case, isn't it? So all you need to do now is take some 4mm jump rings. Let's take these. So I hope this video hasn't been too long and drawn out. Again, I make these videos, you know, for you guys as well. And I like to think that we can share our experiences and share our joy of making. And it's been nice today just to sit down and make this video for you, and also for me. I find this extremely therapeutic. Okay, so 1 4mm jump ring through each of the loops there. Yeah, and I'm going to say a 5mm for the bail. Just because I mean, you can do whatever you like. I'm using a 5. I suppose you could use a 4 if you wanted. It's entirely up to you. Just ideas for you. And then I pop that through there. Thus. And there is our lovely pendant. Now don't forget, if you wanted to make this into a pair of earrings, you totally can. Just, you don't even have to mirror image, I don't think. Just do whatever you like, yeah? And just go wherever the flow takes you. So that's my pendant. Isn't that beautiful? So I think I'm going to wear one and gift one. I might even pop a little crystal on the end of that. Not sure, but I do have a friend who would really, really like that, and she likes a patina on hers. So I might gift this one to her. And again, don't forget, make them into earrings like so. Aren't they gorgeous? Beautiful, beautiful earrings. So we have lots and lots of things here that you can make very, very easily just out of this really simple component. So I hope you have a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments how you've been, and I'm sorry I've been away for a little while, but we're getting there much better now. So I'll see you in my next video, guys, and take care. Bye.